Everyone. I'm Mrinal Madhur on behalf of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Extend a very warm welcome to our respected speaker and participants who have joined us today for this enlightening session on labor laws and opportunities for company secretaries under the umbrella of EEE 5.0 Master Knowledge Series. Labor and employment laws from one of the most crucial pillars of socio-economic framework of any nation. These laws are designed to safeguard the right of workers, promote industrial peace, and ensure balanced growth between the interests of employers and employees. In India, with the consolidation of the numerous labor legislations into 4 comprehensive labor codes, namely the Code on Wages, the Industrial Relations Code, the Code on Social Security, and the Occupational Safety, Health, and Working Conditions Code. The regulatory landscape is undergoing a significant transformation. This transformation calls for a deeper understanding and proactive engagement from professionals who play a pivotal role in legal and compliance management within organizations. This webinar aims to provide participants with an in-depth overview of the evolving labor law framework in India and the emerging professional opportunities available for company secretaries in both corporate and consultancy roles. Through interactive deliberations with domain experts and practitioners, the session seeks to sensitize company secretaries about their growing responsibilities in ensuring ethical employment practices, transparency, and effective compliance management. Now, with this small brief on today's topic, I would like to welcome eminent speaker Dr. M.K. Pandey, who brings with himself immense experience in this sector. Now, I would like to read his brief profile before our members. By qualification, he is LLM, Company Secretary, Cost and Management Accountant, MBA Finance, and PhD. Dr. M.K. Pandey is advocate at Supreme Court of India with more than 25 years of rich legal experience in wide domains. Presently, working as legal consultant and advocate to various companies, including several listed companies and PSUs, handling all kinds of legal, regulatory, compliance, contractual issues of the organizations. He is also legal consultant and advocate to various institutions and banks, including Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India, IBBI, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, ICSI, Canara Bank, Union Bank. We are privileged to have such an eminent speaker to deliberate on today's topic, and I'm confident that today's deliberations will enrich our understanding and equip us with updated knowledge. Once again, I welcome you all and thank you for taking time to join us today. Let's engage, learn, and grow together. Please post your queries and same will be taken up either at the end or during the session. Sir, now I request you to please proceed with the session.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrinalji, for this magnanimous introduction. I'm merely a member of this prestigious institute, and I hope all have joined because I'm not able to know how many people have there. So I hope members have joined all.
Yes, members have joined, sir.
Okay. Okay, this today's particular session, and in my introduction, I must also say I have been Regional Provident Fund Commissioner. So I am having first-hand experience as an authority and now as a practitioner in this particular field. So we will be discussing subject is very vast as we understand, but we will be discussing this subject from the perspective of the company secretaries in terms of the opportunities which is already there, opportunities we have to exploit and we have to grab. So in that perspective, we will be discussing the subject with all the detail, and the session at the end will be interacting, and in between also we can take up, I think, questions them send us through messages also, no? Yes. So let us start this subject, like why labor law is being not so much liked area, and why labor law we are trying to explore and promote that this area of practice is an immense practice. I must make certain points why it is not. Most of the company secretary, I get feedback. Or most of the company secretaries, why they are not doing. Some of them are doing out of their professional commitment with the company, or some of them they get it through the some of the assignments they are given. but voluntarily and by choice. Why not labor law? They take it as a core area and one of the major areas for their practice. I think the key area which we identify is like this is a very complex legal framework of the labor law. As we understand that labor law being a what we call this complex in the sense because there are multiplicities of law, more than 40 laws at the central level and more than hundreds of the laws at the state level. And the complexity lies into the constitutional structure of the subject matter because this is mostly a concurrent item. Some of the items of the labor law within our constitutional framework lies in the concurrent list, most of them. So being a concurrent list item, the states are also entitled to make the law. Center is also making the law. So there are different categories of law that gives rise to the complexity. Some of the law is made by center, implemented by center. Some of the law made by center, implemented by both, implemented by center as well as a state. The compliance part of the law or what is called enforcement part of the law is being done by the both state as well as center. Third category is that the state is making the law and the state is enforcing, and one more category. So there are four categories that way how the administrative setup of the law is there. As regards the what we call the original source of the law, of the labor law, if we trace from our constitution, so we are having some concurrent list item. The particular entry I should mention is entry number 22, entry number 23, and entry number 24 in the concurrent list. So these items are appearing in our constitution and that give rise to like trade union. So trade union, industrial and labor dispute. This is the key item. So labor dispute, trade union, this is the item which is entering into what is called entry number 22 of the concurrent list. Similarly, entry number 23, that gives the social security. I will come to the social security part. That is a very extensive area, and as per the ILO definition, there are so many areas covered within the framework of the social security. So, social security word, although that social security word is mostly used in US economic and social setup. That is one of the very key because social security taxes are collected. So, social security word we have used social security, insurance, and employment and unemployment, both words are there. Then one item 24, which is the welfare of the labor, including condition of work, provident fund, employees invalidity, old age pension, and maternity. So all these items are there in these three entries in the concurrent list. But at the same time, there are certain items which are also appearing in the union list, like entry number 55, 61, and 65. So these items are like 55 is the regulation of the labor law, 61 is the regulation of the
Pandey sir, your voice is not audible.
I was disconnected. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You are audible now.
Huh.
Yes.
In between, I think there was some glitch
Uh, there
of
was a
the.
technical issue. Yes.
So I was discussing that there are item. I should that there are certain union list and concurrent list item. Therefore, there is a complexity of law, and there will be find like Madhya Pradesh is having a separate law on different typing. Karnataka is having separate law. So every state is having separate law on so many topics. So that gives rise to the complexity, and that is one of the reason our company secretary we are dealing with mostly corporate law or the central laws. They find difficulty. I am coming to that challenge because I am first addressing the challenges why the company secretaries are not that much coming to this particular area. Then multiplicity and duplicity, my lord. So this multiplicity and duplicity is the what is called the outcome of this complexity, because on the similar issue you will find the law at the different places. Like on the same issue, industrial dispute, you will having a local law as well as central law, and sometimes that give rise to the confusion also. And that is how people get confused which law to apply, how to apply. That is one issue. Then the third and most important part is they find the company secretaries mostly this is not a very remunerative field of practice. Like in other field they are getting, but being a labor law, what is called, rather I should also use this labor word is also an archaic word. Uh, these times, most of the time we use employment employment law, labor and employment sometime. So this labor word is also what is called colonially used for being used for this labor and employment. So these days that is also. So they find that this particular area is not a remunerative field of practice. That is also not true. I will try to negate all this because some of our colleagues in this particular area is doing wonderful. Then they also find that this is most like a routine and this is not much challenging or charming field. So that is also they found it that this is not a very challenging or very motivating field of practice. So that is also not true. I will come once it comes the complexity which give rise into the labor law, that gives a lot of challenge. There are a lot of other areas of practice which is connected with labor law. I will come to that, like in merger and amalgamations also. We find it very. Uh, Now we come to the last that company secretaries also find that this is none of our core areas. So that is also not true in that context that labor law is just not their core area. That is one of the uh, connected area, and that is also a remunerative field of practice. Now, let us come to that how this perspective uh, goes into this. Like even I told you, multiplicity and duplicity, lot of returns are there. Like in contract labor itself, more than 30 returns are there. Like Wages Act, lot of returns are there. So that is how. So it is mostly people think that is procedure oriented, and they don't find it that there is no strategic vision to this particular area, but this is also not correct. And statutory compliances are in routine manner, but this is not true. Even in the area of so many corporate law which we do practice, the labor law come often, and that is also very challenging. So that is one area. Then let us start that from this constitutional perspective where we have started, like this is a complex area of concurrent list where multiplicity of laws is there. Then also we are having a historical perspective. Like most of the labor law we have taken as a British legacy and colonial legacy. And colonial legacy, the labor law was meant to regulate the Indian labor mostly and to control. The first Factory Act came in 1881. So that was mostly to give some of the basic facilities so that the workers could be productive. They could give very efficient production for the British meals, and that could continue to produce. So initially, the intent of introducing factory act in India, that is one of the initial labor law, and the history also goes into some unionization started from the our movement for independence. So, and besides that constitutional framework, we have also to understand the broad framework, we are having a constitutional provision in form of the Trinity of Article 14, like equality, like equal remuneration, directive principles. So fundamental right provisions are there, 23, 24, like child labor and other things, and uh, Trinity of 14, 19, and 21. So the one approach of the labor law is we are giving them the minimum basic human rights, which is the possible. So basic thing is that the interaction between the capital and labor, the capital is supposed to be the dominant player, or the owner or the management is supposed to be the dominant player, and he will always be exploiting. So the one of the basic thing is that we have to provide them the basic minimum human right, and that basic human right includes the wages, the working condition, their contingency. Yes, yes. Slides you are moving very quickly. So some of them, we have to discuss that these are the basic human rights which has been recognized by ILO. India being the one of the founder members even during the British India of the International Labour Organization, and we are the party of the covenants, international covenants, and not being the party, we have rather also uh, ratified lot of covenants. So that give rise to, so where as a practitioner I must tell you, where there are more complex legal system, where there is more complex compliance system, you are having more opportunity to be regarded as a or demanded as a professional, because this complexity and other things that give rise to the professional requirement of a company or establishment, and where the services of a professional is more required. Different authorities are there, that follows. So, besides that fundamental right, you are having also directive principles with us, which gives rise to like equal remuneration, maternity benefit, workers' participations into the management, like the Article 43A. So all these things are there. So we have to read the what is called jurisprudence of the labor law in that context. That the basic human right based approach, right against exploitation, or right to provide the basic minimum welfare, just and human condition based on the equity and dignity of a human being. So that is the basic core of the our labor law. So that is one right based, and also the state is duty bound to provide all these provisions as per the directive principles, and then we are having entries. And historically also these rights are not what is called the benevolence of the management or the government. These rights have been taken by a long struggle, like trade unions right, or even what is called 48 hours a week, what is there the maximum working hour in a particular week, 48 hour for, so that is being provided by what is called the long term struggle and negotiation by the union, like weekly 1 day off, that has been also been regained, and through a struggle that has been achieved. Even like bonus, all these things has been achieved because what we understand that capital is more dominant and exploitative to the labor. and at the same time, sometimes unionization also give rise to that. So, taking that aspect, the labor law is basically based on tripartism. This I want to highlight because this we have to understand conceptually. Tripartism means this labor is such a delicate subject where the employer, employee, and the government is also a most key and important player. So tripartism give rise to a fine balance to be. So that is one of the reason that we have economic reforms, financial reforms, capital market reform, but not the labor reforms as much required in our country. So labor law, in the name of the labor law reforms, once you give some concession to the employer, the trade union come to the problem with the government. Once the trade union or the labor side is given concession, the employers are up in the arms. So that's why the labor reform has always been a contentious issue for the government to be implementing. So that in that perspective, we have to deal with the subject, and we have to understand that how this historically developed labor law is one of the established norms now, and because of the complex society, because of the fragmented what is called work area. Earlier we are having different laws, so that is one area we will come address. So there are, as we have understand, like still this particular area, like digitization and other compliance aspects are slightly slow. Now, let me come to that. What are the key areas where the company secretaries could explore? And then I will come to the four labor codes also. What is the opportunity available in those codes? And some of the key provisions or the emerging areas, national as well as internationals, which will be helpful. So first I'll come that what are the areas where this particular thing is labor law area of company. As a company secretary, let us understand our role. As a company secretary, we are the what is called understood to be the key person, KMP, and the compliance in charge. But we are also the conscious keeper of the organization. So conscious keeper means we have to be updated and guiding force. You have to be like a torch bearer to the not only the management but other professionals sitting in the company if you are a practicing person. So, whatever may be your areas, like you may be dealing with the insolvency or taxation or corporate restructuring or the compliance, labor law is one of the areas which can be clubbed together. So, it is not a set, what is called a straight jacket in isolation. You have to deal with this particular subject. Like once I am giving one example, like under the new labor code on wages, you are having like 50% of the basic you have to give of the total wages. So out of the total wages of a particular person or total salary, 50% must be in the basic. So this will give to lot of complexity in terms of the structuring of the salary, their tax implication, the implication in terms of to the cost to the company in terms of different contribution in the PF and ESIC. So the things are interconnected. The labor law practice has not to be dealt in isolation. It has to be dealt in a comprehensive and holistic manner. So this is one. Second, company secretary being a competent person to appear before all the authorities and tribunal, like we are appearing as a practicing company secretary, they are all appearing or even on authority before the NCLT or other tribunals or the tax authorities. So there is no issue There are also the practice area of what is called appearance before the authority and representing the company or the establishments in all these proceedings. There are often more quasi-judicial proceedings that we will separately deal with. Quasi-judicial proceedings are happening under different labor law, like assessment proceeding, recovery proceeding, where the company is to be represented, your case is to be represented, documents is to be explained to the authorities. So that is another. So company secretary, being a competent person, he understand, he is professionally trained to represent before the authority in a professional way, because I am telling you कि labor law is the area where most of self-appointed consultants are there, and this is very shameful, I am telling you, because as a authority I have dealt that some people will come who is not professionally qualified and they will represent the company, and he is not having any professional qualification that way, and he will say I am the consultant of the company and I am representing the company. So instead of so this is how the space is there, this is how the practice area is there, where a practicing company secretary, and for that matter any other professional may occupy. And as a authority, it will always be better, it will be better for the company, it will be better for the authority that some professional in a very professional manner they can represent the case. So that opportunity is always there. So that representative figure, particularly, let I am tell you, like before Provident Fund Commissioner, where there is a proceeding under Section 7 capital A for assessment of dues, or for applicability dispute, summon is issued even under ESIC Act, or even under different other acts also. The labor and construction and BU sub building and other construction work related cess assessment. These matters where the representative services are required, and representative services are required. I can give you some example, like in big project, BOCW, building and other construction cess under 1996 Act, that has been in made and calculated as per their assessment on the basis of the fact and figure they have presumed. And once you appear before the authority, explain the fact, explain, and then your professional value come, and that got reduced. So that is also one of the key areas where this. So this is, I am telling that as a company secretary, we all are competent. The only thing is required is we have to take up this very seriously, and we have to make it. Now, this this is one area which I tell. So, company secretary, being a competent and qualified person, can deal with this particular area. So, one of the key areas where the practice is mostly required is one that representative services, where the establishment is to be represented before the authority, and you have to deal with the law, you have to deal with the fact, you have to deal with the professional manner how to represent before the authority. So that can be done by the company secretary. Second is the documentation and drafting, which I mean documentation and drafting means there are the company secretary generally think that this is HR function. So this is not true, because a lot of documentation are required to be done, which is interdisciplinary in nature. Interdisciplinary in the nature, like a company is having a factory and occupier or manager is to be appointed, let us say. So occupier in a company having a factory can only be a director of the company. In that way, director of the company has to be uh, appointed through the board process and procedure. So this is one of the example I am giving. Although it is dealing with the Factories Act, but it is having a direct connection with the Factories Act and Company Act. So there is an intersection. So that way, the documentation part is the core domain of the company secretary, and lot of documentation where the legal issues are involved, the HR person can uh, always be supported and guided by the company secretary. Even what you say, the right from the basic documentation of the company to the high, like HR policies you are formulating in the company, like your HR handbooks you are preparing, or even safety handbooks you are preparing, or manuals you are preparing, some key drafting, like even for the retrenchment, even for the full and final, the company secretary could be in a position to guide. As I have told you, you are the torch bearer and the conscience keeper on the so many legal issue and aspect. The company secretary can guide and help the HR people in finding the solution. So documentation and drafting, because you understand the law in a better way, we are more trained to be we are more often drafting the documents. So that is one of the areas where, so normal letter, like what we offer letter and other like no non-compete, non-solicit agreement, non-disclosure, severance release, all these documentations are basically prepared in the company and done. Even training bonds, like how you can do. So so training bond, consultancy agreement, and day in, day out, lot of documentation is being done, which is pertaining to labor law particularly. If you are sending someone for the training outside India, then generally bond is executed. IP is a lot of assignment, IP assignment, other. So these all areas is one of the areas which is the core, and company secretary can always be there. Then the second area where the company secretary is more competent, being a professionally trained person and mature person, mediation, negotiation, compensation, structuring. Like lot of labor issues involves like interaction with the employees, interaction with the group of employees, interaction with the sometime union, or uh, even let us understand that what is called for the welfare of the employee, you are making a welfare trust for the employee. That also needs what is called a lot of negotiation with the employee group, that way. So in that way, company secretary is required. Even what is called the exit interview, the HR is taking, what is called some legal issues sometimes arise, and the company secretary will find a good negotiation with the negotiation, and that skill is already there. So a lot of issues involving mediation, negotiation with the parties concerned, sometimes third parties also, they are, and even compensation structuring, as I told you, that is also there. That is part of the mediation and negotiation sometimes. Like which allowances to be given, how to be structured, how not to be structured, whether how it is to be taken into account. All these things, company secretaries services may be very useful, and that is one of the areas. Then one of the key areas, like a part of the corporate ESOPs and ESPS, uh, that is the area where the company secretary is the best way. That is also pertaining to the labor law area. And the third is merger and amalgamation area. Merger. an amalgamation area where the HR function is required pre-merger and post-merger. As we understand from the various experiences that lot of issues of the HR make the merger and amalgamation uh, failures or the success, like integration of the employees uh, of the two organizations, or even hiving off some of the employees or dealing with them, downsizing, termination, transfers from one unit to another. So these lot of scopes are there, which are the practice area, which is what is called involved into the that way. Then we will discuss also. Then the most important area which is emerged already and which is being dealt by all the field is uh, that is called the labor and compliance audit. I will deal with the subject in slightly more detail because labor and compliance, as per the Companies Act, the board is certifying that all the laws is being complied, and labor law being one of the complex areas, we have to be more careful about that. So that is one area where the compliance part is being outsourced or in form of the audit part or the compliance audit or labor audit by whatever name. And I must tell you that some of the big corporates are giving them to the most big fours are doing it, some other law firms are doing it, even some company secretaries are also doing it. So this is one of the area, and this is area means all the companies which are required to have this audit as a part, as an integral part of the compliance certificate, that must be stressed upon and that could be given. The value could be given in that compliance audit. Compliance audit could be dependent on the segment in which you are dealing. Like if it is a food and beverage, that will be a different area. If it will be a other manufacturing, it will be different. It will be infrastructure, it will be different. So segment wise, the compliance and labor audit could take different depending on the industry based. So that is one area. So this labor and compliance audit over a period of time, this has been said, and this is a matter of practice, and this has come as a practice into various corporate houses. Some big companies are doing, but all the companies are not doing. So this could be done to the other company. Other company could be motivated in terms of the value that this will be having value, like an independent professional or is conducting a compliance and labor audit, and he is comprehensively because the company itself cannot do that way through checklist. So and through that a comprehensive certification will be issued. So this is one area. So areas which I have dealt is like from documentation, drafting, mediation, negotiation, compensation structuring, and this compliance audit. Besides that, I have told that there is one representative area that is called, you can say that that is litigation part or representative services. And then there is also a called advisory part. So you are always have to deal with advisory part in terms of the company, and what is the model of providing these services that we will be also covering. So providing this being expert service, we being already recognized as a, and then I must also let you know, like Haryana government, some of the state government has recognized company secretary as one of the professionals who can carry out audit. Like in August 2016, 10th August 2016, there is a notification of Haryana government. Uh, I think that is available with the institute notification number 11 dated 10th of August 2016. They that allows that third party certification and audit scheme for factories, shops, and commercial establishment in the state. And why it has been done? This has been done as a business reform action plan. And this has been done particularly and giving the recognition of company secretary in practice, they can do it. So that is so one of the so that is one state government is already recognizing it. Internally, company can always recognize it as a part of the company law compliance, where the all the legal compliances is being certified. So company secretary can give on this part, employment part, in labor and employment laws complied. Because and kindly understand the complexities. The factory is having thousands of employees. Some of the companies having multiple location factories. So this is a big area of the practice and a huge amount of professional fees also being charged. Like some of the companies having 10 factories, and all these factory labor law compliances, locally compliance you have to see, and then at the corporate office compliance is to be seen, and all these 40, 50 laws has to be dealt, their record, registers, and all these issues has to be dealt. So that is the one of the key area of the practice which we are we that. And then recently one more area has developed, that is the expatriate taxation and social security. India is having social security like DTA, double tax avoidance agreement. We are having social security agreements with the various countries. A reciprocal social security agreement with the different country, more than 15, 16 countries we are having, where if an Indian is registered having a PF contribution, means he is giving a social security here, he is not required. If you work in that particular country on the basis of the certificate that you are registered with the social security here in India, you are not supposed to contribute to the social security in that country. And that is the reciprocal arrangement also. If somebody expatriate is coming to India and he is already having a social security number there, so he is not supposed to contribute in India. That reciprocal arrangement we have done with the various. So that is one. And expatriates, the taxation issue, social security issue, immigration issue, that is also connected with this. And in the litigation part, it is not like that we are only representing before the authority like labor commissioner, PF commissioner, ESIC department. But besides that, litigation sometimes may give rise to the negotiation. Like as I told you, mediation, there are mandatory mediation also, where the court or conciliation also, or the even private mediation and conciliation can take place. Besides that, what is called the statutory mediation. So this is one, some of the areas. Then we will come with some of the routine compliance. I am telling that most of the people are doing that routine, what is called this part of maintaining and filing the returns. That is one of the core areas, like people are doing with that part where the compliance is being ensured by the professionals, where this is a monthly basis, and the time bound processes are there, because this is a money matter involved. And besides that, lot of licensing and other issues are involved. So PF and ESIC being one of the area in which the monthly basis contribution is to be remitted every month. Employees coming, joining, some are and resigning. So a lot of monthly base exercise is being done. So that is also one of the area, and lot of records and registers to be maintained. Then you are having some trusts, like some organizations maintain EPF trust, exempted establishments. So those organizations, a lot of issues are also involved. Some financial issues are involved. Those company where EPF trust is there, then the money which is being contributed is to be invested as per the financial uh, structure or the pattern of investment notified by the Ministry of Finance. So there also, because company secretary is also financially trained, so his financial skill and financial knowledge will help in maintaining. So labor law, I am giving this broad area that even like in some of the big organizations, I have seen PSU 10,000, 5,000 employees, Provident Fund Trust is there, corpus is in huge amount, 300, 400, 500 crores of the rupees, that is, and every month money is being contributed, that has to be invested as per the, so maintaining the financial rate of return higher than the statutory return, and then investing that money prudently so that you can earn and pass it on to the employees. That is also company secretary role in that way is very important. So this slide, as I so go by the slide. So mediation and negotiation, Mediation Act 2023 has already come, and this is a mediation act which is having giving a very larger role of mediation. It is not between the companies or the corporate disputes. It is also between what is called private mediation is allowed, dispute and negotiation is allowed. So this mediation is giving a lot of a scope under 2023, and that settlements and other issues that come. So areas of practice is abundant, I must tell you, and I cannot tell you all the area of the practice. There could be expanding area of the practice. Expanding area of the practice, let me tell you. Like some of the company approach that we are having some branch in India, some branch in there, and you have to see that how the compliance must be in tune, and your compliance is to be reported to the concerned head office. Some of the companies having only branch here, so you have to be in touch with that host country, and you have to know the law of that particular country, how the labor law is being complied there. Like I have given you the example of social security, we are having agreement with the Belgium, and if some company, some of the employees are coming here, they are not supposed to contribute here in the social security scheme. So you have to obtain a certificate from that particular country, the social security or concerned organization in the Belgium, and you have to produce before the authorities here. So that sort of international work is also there. So I am simply giving some of the avenues which I could tell you. So this is area which we must explore, and some of the areas are closely interconnected. I am telling you, like in merger and amalgamation, company secretary is only supposed to do the documentation, valuation, and preparing the first motion, second motion. No, merger and amalgamation has got of implicit and employee side areas that is being dealt, and that is the part of how the employees had been dealt, how the options shall be given, how that should be transferred or integrated into unified policy or comprehensive HR structure, how they should be placed. So all these are part and parcel of, and that is a huge exercise where this along with, because you are statutorily dealing with M&A and other thing, you can also deal with this particular part. So if I could address some of the issues, like being a complex structure is just a mindset. Complexity is there in the labor law, but that complexity we have to understand and deal. Like we have to understand that which law is being complied and where which law is to be complied. So because that is based on the state to state, some of the laws, that is one. And then multiplicity and duplication is also required, and a lot of updation is also required, because like minimum wages is notified sometimes 6 months, every 6 months minimum wages could be revised in some of the states. Like somebody is working in NCR, you are having three different minimum wages rate. Somebody is working in Delhi having different minimum wages, and somebody is working in Noida the rate of UP will be applicable. Somebody is working in the Gurugram, so that will be Haryana minimum basis will be required. So you have to be constantly be updated, and because you are supposed to be expert, you are expert as per the definition. So in this area also you have to be there. So, as I told you that this employee stock and share schemes, compliance, governance, this is the area I have not to tell much because these company secretaries are already familiar with, and they have been doing it. So that is part and parcel of their. Uh, Now I will deal with some of the labor laws where the complexity is much more, and how that is to be dealt. Particularly, as I told you, there are four categories of laws we have to keep in mind. Like some of the laws are central laws, only central government implement or enforce it, like EPF and ESIC. These two are the very key laws in that way because that makes everybody financially, you have to be updated in terms of the compliance. The day you cross the particular compliance date, you have to pay the penal damages. So, in these law, the financial implication is there, tax implication is there. So, these laws we have to understand, and I will deal in slightly 5 minutes each because time I have to finish it before 30. Like Employee Provident Fund Act, the contribution is to be collected and remitted by 15th of the next month, and that is a very sacrosanct date. Sometimes people say that if you are not doing by 15th of the next month, you can take a grace time. So this grace time is not being allowed these days, I must tell you. Earlier it used to be like 5 days grace period was being allowed. So now this is not, and the implications are different. Like if you are making delay, then penal damages automatically will come. It is system will make the penal damages calculation, and that will remit. So the compliances part on this aspect is very. Then the part is very important. Which part of the salary to be calculated for the calculation of PF and which allowances to be excluded? That is also an issue, and this is not only an issue for provident fund. I must deal this subject like we have to deal this subject in the way because different law calculations are different. Like HRA is excluded, traveling is allowances is excluded. So basic plus DA. And the issue of a special allowances is a very key issue. A special allowances is something which is very, you can say, uh, legally disputed, and Supreme Court judgment has also come on this special allowances. So if special allowances is being paid to each and everyone as a part of the regular salary, then it will be treated as a part of the wage. So that is important. So which allowances to be calculated for the purpose of PF contribution and which is to be excluded for that, that is important. And in employee provident fund part, this timely compliance, who is eligible, who is not eligible, these are the key areas. Like a new entrant to the organization, new employee which is coming to the organization, and if he is to be made member of the PF or not, if his salary is exceeding the statutory limit, these are the issues which you can guide. Even if he is joining as a PF member, whether contribution can be allowed on the full salary of his part, employee share part, or whether the employer is bound to give full contribution on his full salary, or he is bound to give only the statutory limit contribution. So these are the issues. Then some of the PF issues also involve coverage. Like there could be some establishment which is having, and where to be complied. the jurisdiction part. Like some of the companies having central compliances at one particular head office and a different branch office in all part of the country, whether they should comply at different code numbers at different locations or at one place. These are the issues. I am simply flagging the issues where, and only with respect to one particular law. And the money part is very important because some of the allowances which are supposed to be included and which you have not included, then you can face a summon or the so-called notice, and they can say that this is the not the proper contribution, and they can start the proceeding for assessment of the dues for the lesser contribution, or for the employee which should be part of the uh, contributing the PF and he is not made the member. So these are the some of the issues which is being dealt under the Provident Fund Act. And some of the organization is having exempted trust under Section 17 of the Employees Provident Fund Act, and that trust is at the local level, at the organization level, manages the PF contribution, and that trust is to be managed because that's a big responsibility. That exemption is granted under various terms and conditions, and one of the key conditions for the grant of exemption is you could remit the amount, you could give the interest every year to the remitted amount of the employee's balance not less than the rate declared by the government. If government is declared 10.5, the trust has to ensure the minimum return of 8.5. If it is less than 8.5, then the organization has to make the balance. This is the important part because being a trust of the employees, a statutory trust, and for the employees, the you can't give the lesser benefit than what the government is giving under the Employee Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act. So this is one of the areas. I am simply highlighting some of the areas where money matter is involved, where the legal issues involved, where the representative services is involved, and litigation is also involved. Or sometimes inspection is also being carried out. So once the inspection is done, all the compliances is to be shown. All the compliances or the lot of queries are being raised by the department. That queries are supposed to be addressed, or to be document is to be supplied. So these part can be done by a professional only, and these are very critical part. I am telling you critical. Why I am saying critical? Because the financial implication is very high. I have I have been doing the cases, and I have been dealing with the various big corporates, including multinationals, because of mishandling and because of not handling the issue with a professional approach. They are facing, and they are facing litigation. They are facing all the issues under different laws, and these what is called facing this type of litigation makes the company's image very poor sometimes, even for the very small reasons. One of the company, they have to report it to, even like a foreign multinational, they have to report that this proceeding is going on against the company for very little issue. Sometimes this, so there the compliance is very important, and company, who could be the better person than the company secretary to provide this compliance? So this is one of the examples I am telling you with regard to the Provident Fund. I could not deal what is called with respect to each and every law. Rather, I can deal more of the issues in terms of the question and answer. This is a monologue. I am only telling. I don't know how many participants are there from where. So once we will take up the questions, we can deal all the subject issue. But I am dealing some of the part. Yeah. Then in the compliance part, we have to be sometimes very locally deal with the issue. Locally deal with the issue means there is a Contract Labor Abolition and Regulation Act. That is a central act with respect to the contract labor. But different state government has given are supposed to make amendments, and they have made amendments. So once your factory is in, let us say, Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, the act has been modified or amended in different way, and a lot of issues are there. Like if somebody is engaging more than 20 contract employee, you as a principal employer is supposed to get registered with the labor authorities. And if the contractor who is supplying this more than 20 contract employee to the principal employee, he is supposed to get a license. So registration and licensing, these are two things under the contract. Principal employer is supposed to have registration, and the contractor is supposed to have the license. So this registration and license requirement are different in different states. Sometimes the limit has been enhanced to 50, sometimes 100, sometimes so even like I'm telling you, for the organization which is having multiple locations activity, and where the contractors are engaged in multiple states, you have to comply by the different. And the key question arises, like, who is the appropriate government for that matter? If you are supposed to be or confined in one particular, so appropriate government has been defined under the different law, and that is being dealt in different way. So, as per the appropriate government, you have to approach different authorities, particularly different labor. And labor department is one central labor department. They can also issue license. Like I am giving you one example of our institute itself. Our institute itself got this because our appropriate government is a central government. So we got registered under Contract Labor Act for engaging different contractors with respect to with the central labor commissioner respective of. So that our institute of company secretaries is registered for the compliance, because our appropriate government is the central. And then engaging different contractors, they must have got the license respectively in different states where they are, because for with respect to that particular contractor, he is having license of that particular state for supplying the contractor employee or not. So these are the legal issues. These are not only simply what is called compliance issues, or so company secretary is in a better position to understand it, guide it, and ensure that none of the violations is being done, because most of the big company or the organizations engage in number of contractors. For if outsourcing is the order of the day, and all this, even the some of the key functions are also being outsourced, so that is being done. So wherever in that outsourcing the employee engagement is involved, then you become the principal employer, and sometimes the chain goes on. You are the principal employer, somebody is working for you, he becomes your contractor, he sometimes also gives the sublet the works, and in particularly in the construction or infrastructure projects, so he becomes principal employer, and his sublet, where to whom he sublets, that becomes the contractor for him. So this sometimes goes the chain, makes the chain longer. So I'm simply giving that even in the contract management, you have to be very careful. Like if you are giving, you are directly, you should not deal with the contractor employee. If you are directly dealing with the contractor employee with respect to day to day his engagement in terms of, then you become a direct employer. So instead of becoming a principal employer, if you have to specify, like in selection or other process, you have not to directly engage with the contractor employee. Contractor employee has to be dealt with contractor, And if any requirement is there, some firing has to be done, simple replacement has to be done, everything has to be done through contractor. Otherwise, what happens that contractor employee ask on the basis of the evidence that he should be regularized in your organization. He has worked more than 240 days as per the Industrial Dispute Act, and then he can claim, rightly or wrongly, the regularization in your organization. So contractor handling is also one of the key area of the practice, I must say, because the contract management is not simply this contract management in terms of the HR involve lot of issues. Lot of issues means how you identify a contractor, because there could be so many HR vendors, manpower suppliers, and you have to see that their compliances is up to date and their compliances are being perfect. Then only you can be safeguarded, because otherwise principal employer you could be always liable, not only in the contract labor act but under provident fund, under ESIC or any other law. You being a principal employer, if the contractors does not comply, so it is not only that you are complying with your company or complying with your client company. Sometimes your client's contractor compliance is equally important, and your client could be in trouble for the non-compliance of the contractor. So this I am giving some dimension of some of the laws, like Employees Provident Fund is one of the laws, where the monthly contribution 12%, 12% employees, employer, and they run three schemes, and that is remitted in time. This contract labor contractualization is the order of the day. And just for your, this is very interesting that even the parliament is not running without the contractor employees. Even in NCLT, where we are appearing on day-to-day basis, or NCLT, 80% of the staff is on contract. So even the courts are not running without the contract employee. Even the Supreme Court is also not running, because there are a lot of cleaning and other services are outsourced to some employee. So contractualization is the order of the day. So this particular area of managing the contract and managing the contract in terms of compliances, legal issues, and payment in time. Because if you pay to the contractor and contractor in turn is not paying to the employee concerned, contractor employee, then also you become liable. Sometimes the contractor employee will ask the bonus, he will ask the gratuity. Same contractor, same contract employee is working for last 5 years or so, then he will ask for the gratuity. So these are some of the laws where we have to deal with very carefully in terms of compliances. So this is some of the laws I have dealt. I will also address the what is called the contemporary issues in the labor law and the four labor codes, that we will also, and what are the contemporary and other issues which are arising in the labor law practice, which we will deal. And I will be closing in next 15-20 minutes, so that at 4:30 we could start the uh, question and answer session. So before delving into that particular four labor codes, I must also deal with some of the like contract labor issues I have flagged, or I have also flagged this Employees Provident Fund. Similar is the issue with the Employees State Insurance ESIC Act, because that is also a contribution. Here the contribution is paid, but in Provident Fund, you get the money back in terms of the Provident Fund or in the form of the pension or the EDLI. But this is like the money is contributed by employees and employer, and you get the primarily the health services, maternity benefit services, and other services. So ESIC contribution is in the form of insurance, like the name suggests, Employees State Insurance Corporation. That is also the traditional and social security institution. And Employee Provident Fund Organization, by the way, is the world's largest security organization in terms of the contribute members or the contributions being received, and it is being managed under the Ministry of Labor. So that way, that categories of the law, which I must initially I have dealt, like then we'll come to the issue of the labor reforms. Like central government laws, and only central government is complying, is, as I have told you, the three acts, ESIC, EPF, and the Mines Act 1952, the three major law. But there are so many other minor laws which I am not dealing, like BD workers, Cine workers, mica and mines worker. For segments, different segments, they have also enacted law. So, iron ore and magnesium, chrome, dock workers. So, this is the law which is exclusively being dealt by the central government, means made by the parliament and by. Then some of the laws are both being enforced by state government as well as central government, like minimum wages, payment of wages, bonus, gratuity, maternity benefit, uh, apprentice equal remuneration, industrial dispute act. So all these acts are being enforced by both, depending on the appropriate government. Who is the appropriate government in respect to, like in railway, like ONGC, the appropriate government is the central government. So they will be guided by that. And with respect to the organizations or the companies situated in a particular state, dealing within the confines of that particular state, will be having that particular like labor commissioner of the Delhi or the labor commissioner of the Haryana you have to deal with, or labor department of that particular state you have to deal with. If your employees are within the one state, or even in two estates, if you are paying them salary at that particular location, if it is not centralized, then the minimum wages of that particular location has to be ensured. Let us say your company is in Delhi, some of the work location is in Gurgaon. You are having a construction site in Gurgaon, you have a construction site in Noida, and you have a construction site in Delhi. You have to pay three different minimum wages, technically. So that is how this, because the law is the central, but it is come being enforced by the state governments. So there are a number of more than 24, 25 laws are there. I am not going into Merchant Shipping Act, Working Journalist Fixation of Wages Act, Dock Workers Regulation Act, Unorganized Workers Social Security Act, BOCW, I have told you, that is another law. That is a cess, collection of cess. Two laws are there: Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation Act and cess Act. So one law is for the regulating their working conditions, employment conditions, and condition of service, and another law for the cess. That is a 1996 Act, and now it is applied across the country. And cess is being collected 1% to the cost of construction. That is the rough idea. What is the cost of construction? What is to be included? What is not to be included? And what is the exemption limit? That is also a central law, but being enforced locally, means a state government is enforcing these laws. So in BOCW. So this is the important law. Yeah. Somebody from the institute, kindly slides may be changed, please. Yes. Next, please. So then there are certain law which is only being central law, but only is enforced by the state government, like Factories Act, Employee Compensation Act, Trade Union Act, Motor Transport Workers Act, Employment Exchange Act, Plantation Labor Act. So the multiplicity of the labor law makes you uh, keep the slide on, please. Yes. I am visible and audible, na? Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are
Okay,
visible
okay.
and audible.
Okay, okay. Keep the slide on, some of the slides, please.
Right, right,
So
sir. Right, sir.
hmm. now I will be dealing with because before we take questions, like this entire gamut of the labor laws, more than hundreds in terms of the state laws, and more than 40 major laws in terms of the central law. Now that has been codified. That is the part of the what is called in terms of the labor law. These laws are what is called British era laws, that is to be given new shape. So accordingly, this law has been categorized into four different codes. That is called codification of the law. So let us come to this topic. This codification has been done in all the four labor law has been done into four codes. One code is the code on wages. Code on wages. Code on wages consists of, that is the consolidation of the four wage related law, like payment of wages act, minimum wages act, and Equal Remuneration Act, and Payment of Bonus Act. So four laws has been subsumed into Code on Wages that was passed in 2019. And then you are having Industrial Relation Code. That Industrial Relation Code consists of three legislation, and that is Industrial Dispute Act, what we call, and then the Trade Union Act that has been subsumed in it. Then the third code is Code on Social Security. These are all has been passed. Code on Social Security that subsumes nine different acts into one code, and nine different codes, different laws. Like I have told you, the EPF, Employee Provident Fund, ESIC, Employee Compensation Act, Employment Exchange Compulsory Notification Act, Maternity Benefit, Payment of Gratuity, Senior Workers Welfare Fund Act, and BOCW, SES Act, and Unorganized Worker Social Security Act. These nine laws have been subsumed or consolidated in one code, that is Code on Social Security. Then most important, the 13 different labor law has been consolidated and subsumed into Occupational Safety, Health and Working Condition Code. So including that contract labor, interstate migrant workmen, BOs, and Mines Act, Dock Workers Act, Working Journalist Act, and Motor Transport Worker Act, Sale Promotion Employee Act, BD Cigar Workers Act, Cine Workers, Cine Theaters Act. So there are 13 different laws, but majority is the Factories Act, where it is providing these welfare measures, safety measures, health measures, all that has been so this codification is an attempt to make labor law slightly simpler and slightly, you can say, structured as per the requirement. Then I will deal some of the key issues which are already there. Industrial Dispute Act is the what is called heart and soul of the labor law with respect to the employer-employee relationship, or the industrial relation is concerned. Industrial relation is being mostly dealt with two major law. One is the Industrial Dispute and one is the uh, Trade Union Act. So In that way, the definition of the industry, the definition of the industrial dispute, a strike, lockout, retrenchment, layoff, all these things has been done. What is being changed now, that is very important, and I will be dealing with some of the changes being dealt by the government under the new regime. Although these laws have been passed, 5 year has been completed now. 2020 August September, this law was signed by the president. So that has law has become the uh, signed by the president. So it is a law, but not yet notified. Notified in terms of when it will be implemented. That is a big $1 million question, when it will be implemented. And why it is not being implemented? Because trade union are having issues, employers are also having issues. Some of the issues, mostly the chamber of commerce and the employers body is welcoming it, but they are having certain issues. So trade union is also having issues. So being a very sensitive, as I saw, the entire labor law structure in India is based on tripartism. So tripartism is the core of the labor law system in India. So in tripartism, government has to make a balance. Neither they can annoy the employers or the what is called establishment owners or the company corporates, nor it can uh, mishandle what is called the trade unions or labor, because that is the largest voters in terms of the democratic setup. So that is one of the reasons. So what are the key issues? Let me address the key issues. One of the key issues is that in Payment of Wages Act, everybody is entitled to uh, start the proceeding for the payment of wages. Means there is no difference between what is called this type of employee and that type of employee, and the limit of this much. Second is there is, for minimum wages, there will be not a schedule. As of now, there was a schedule in these particular industries or this particular sector. Minimum wages is to be fixed. Now there is a concept of, we are into the new economy, new era economy, the ground reality. Last 5 6 7 years, 10 years, we have seen the gig economy. So gig economy, like gig workers are there, and gig workers have been defined. Gig workers and platform workers, like aggregators are there, like drivers working on the Uber, drivers working on the uh, Ola, or what is called Rapido, or so this type of Swiggy, Zomato, the delivery boys. So wow, these they are also big employers that way. Whether employer-employee relationship subsist or not subsist in terms of the traditional understanding of the employer-employee relation. So that way, in gig economy, this new concept of gig workers, platform workers has been brought into force in Social Security Code. This is very important. They have been given that they should also be provided social security, and contribution is to be done by the employer in a fixed percentage, or some scheme will be formulated. So that is one. Then gratuity, in Payment of Gratuity Act, there was a limit. That limit was supposed to have five limit in terms of the completion of 5 years, then you are entitled for gratuity, otherwise you are not entitled for gratuity. And I have seen cases practically in my life, and people approach, once they complete 4.5 years or something, they will be terminated. And because after completion of 4.5 years or so, he can claim for the gratuity, so he will not be continued. So now they have done away with this 5 years requirement, and they have brought this proportionately gratuity will be paid. If you have done for 2 years, 3 years, proportionately it will be paid. So that is one. They have done like gig worker, platform workers. They have brought a concept of under the new codes, re-skilling of the workers. Like in a technological era, every day, if you are skilled in a particular way, now that skill could be redundant, particularly in the AI era. So that re-skilling fund is to be created by the employer, and that re-skilling fund is to be utilized for the purpose of training the employee, and that is to be done mandated. Fund is to be created. So this is very important. So now they have done that layoff and retrenchment, and even for the closure of the unit, permission is to be sought. If you are having 100 plus employees, then you have to seek a prior permission of the appropriate government before you do retrenchment, layoff, or limit. Now this limit is being extended to 300 under the new code. This is a lot, what is called agitated issue. The workers are saying that this hire and fire, so-called, this hire and fire is being permitted under the new era. So this is one. Now the concept of work from home is already legal now. They have given it a legal sanctity. Then working from home, that is there. Even in Industrial Dispute Act, when the Labor Code or the industrial tribunals are there, they are making two members instead of one member. Then fixed term employment. Fixed term employment is very important. Fixed term employment, they are dealing in terms of if somebody is required only for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, so that employment will be, then his services will be over. That will be employment, and that will be called. Though these are the new realities of the what is called the economy, which is evolving, and the new realities of the world. So the law is being tried to be made compliant with this. Then we are having what is called negotiating union and negotiating council. This is with respect to the Trade Union Act. The Trade Union Act, we are having the issue of multiple trade unions sometimes, where the big organization is there. So many union will compete for each other, and due to rivalry in the trade union, a lot of issues arise. Sometimes even negative issues like violence sometimes also erupt between trade unions. They compete for the leadership and all. So they say that management could recognize that union which is being represented by not less than 51% of the employee. Only that union will be a negotiating union, or the other union will not be a negotiating. So the union representing 51%. If there are multiple union and none of them is representing 51%, then they will be having negotiating council. So then representative of other unions less than 51, they all will be part of that council, and that could be for the purpose of like wage fixation and other issues. Negotiation take place, labor negotiation. So that will be the concept. Most important part is the wage definition, employee definition. They have given one definition. As of now, you will find wage is defined under 13, 14 laws at different places. Now we will be dealing with one definition, which is common definition in all the four codes. Similarly, definition of the employee and other, they have given some common definition to all of it. So this is important. The very important part is the wage structuring they have done. That is implication, and that is very important, which we should understand. Like the out of the total gross salary, minimum basic should be the 50%. Like somebody is getting 100 rupee as a gross salary, then 50 rupees should be the basic, not less than 50 should be the basic. Basic you can't make like 100 rupee, you are making 20 rupee as a basic, 10 rupees this allowance, 10 rupees this allowance, 10 rupees this allowance, and basic will be only 10 rupee or 20 rupee. This is also being done. So why it is done? Because the contribution is calculated on the basic and basic plus DA. So you calculate very less contribution on the part of the employer. So that is done. Salary Structuring is done in such a way that basic is kept low and other allowances is given a high figure. So wage restructure, wage they have limit that wage should be in such a way that basic should not be less than 50%. So there are some of the issues which is highlighted, like in Provident Fund and other appeal. Earlier, it used to be 75% of the pre-deposit for filing appeal. They have reduced to 25. Under Minimum Wages Act, now under this code on wages, they have brought the concept of floor wages. So floor wages is the concept of the floor wages will be fixed by the central government and no wage could be less than the floor wages. Even the minimum wages being fixed by the state government concerned should be higher on the floor wages. So floor wages is something which is basic wage and that could be fixed by the central government and any wages could be higher than the floor wages. So the concept of floor wages is also a new concept for that matter. I have brought and very important. I must how the gig worker has been defined. The gig worker is basically as I have given you. Social security has also been defined first time under the code. Social security means measure of protection afforded to employees, unorganized workers, gig workers, platform workers to ensure access to health care and to provide income security, particularly in case of old age, unemployment, sickness, invalidity, work injury, maternity, or loss of breadwinner by means of right conferred on them and a scheme framed under this code. So, social security word they have defined in a very platform work they have defined like means platform means like aggregator what we call aggregators means a work arranged outside of a traditional employer employee relation as we understand they are not traditional because employer employee relation full time control should be there. He should be under your supervision and guidance but you are providing them a platform, so it is outside traditional employer-employee relationship in which organization or individuals use an online platform to access other organization or individuals to solve specific problems or provide specific services or any such other activity which may be notified by the central government. So this platform work has been clearly defined in that way. And gig workers means a work person who perform work or participate in a work arranged in earn from such activity outside traditional employer employee relationship because the traditional employer employee relationship is not that way of providing service is being provided by the aggregator, so that is called gig worker. And so these they will be having a social security as of now also 90% of the workforce in India is in unorganized sector roughly. Only 10% of the workforce is in organized sector and government is trying to make more or most of them in the organized sector and social security is the constitutional challenge to be provided to everyone. So government is trying to make social security for everyone, universal social security. That is the aim of the government. So I think I have discussed. Let me summarize because now question answers should be taken. Yes, Mrinalji, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I think sufficient time should also be there. We should. I would love to be more interacting. So I have dealt with the constitutional framework, historical framework, then company secretary as a key person, how they can be very critical and very important in providing. And there are different abundant areas are available for their practice. The only thing is that they have to come out and they have to start something which has to be one step means half done, one or two you will face, and that is it is remunerative, it is highly important, highly critical, that gives you a synergy for your work. And synergy in the sense because you are already dealing with this areas and this area gives you proper bonding with the other part of the work which you are doing. So I feel, and I being also being a company secretary, that way I understand that role. Those who are practicing or those who are in the employment, both way, the labor law is not just what is called a abandoned child in terms of the practice. That is the most sought after. That could be the darling of the area for the practice. So, in that way, I must open the floor for the question answer. I would love to be interacting. You can close this slide also so that I can see also those who are asking any questions or some questions might have come. Yes, please.
So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. And let us take the questions now. So I'm taking the first question.
Yes.
What safeguards do labor laws provide for executives in cases of layoff or retrenchment?
Yes. I must say, layoff, retrenchment, these are the issues of the Industrial Dispute Act, I understand. So, layoff and retrenchment, there are certain safeguards which are there in the statute. And besides the statutory provision, there are also some thing which we seek through some judicial precedences also, like layoff and retrenchment. You can, if that is not being done properly, you can go to the concerned courts, right? So this is one, and they have to be done in the say, as I have told you, the two, three, four safeguards are there, like layoff, retrenchment. That is being done. They have to, if more than 100 employees are there, they have to seek the permission, prior permission of the government for doing laying off. The compensation is to be paid, and LIFO method and other that method is done. If you are an old employee, you can't be done that way. And even if they seek permission, labor authorities can be approached while granting the permission. That is one. And if you are not falling within that particular definition, like less than 100, then they are not supposed to seek permission. That is the law as on date. If this new code will come, then 300 plus, that will be the limit. That is not yet notified, so we have not to discuss. But that is one. And second case is if you are not falling within the definition of the workmen, and you, as I understand from the question, like somebody is from the higher salary group and his role is different, then he can challenge the decision on illegal termination of the employee. Uh, okay, so if he's not workman, then he can't illegal termination that. So that they have to approach the civil court and challenge in that way. If the person is workman, then he can go to the labor court. That is the issue.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
And the next question is, what a service bond must contain to be made it enforceable in the court?
Mhm. That service bond is basically just an instrument to ensure that employee should continue. Uh, but that any question is not being asked directly by the participant concerned.
They put the question in the chat box and we read the questions. We ask the
Okay,
questions to you.
okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Yes, service bond, like you can't give a what is called a complete restrictions as well. You can put or exaggerated amount of bond you cannot put it, like 1 crore bond or 50 lakhs bond, that you should not. Number one, that bond should be reasonable. That bond should be reasonable in the way, if what I am saying, that what is reasonable, like if you are putting that person for training, cost of 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 5 lakh, you are putting in that particular way, you can put a bond of 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, or that way 2 3 times. That is one way. And you have to make him sign and make him understand, because most of the employees challenge that this has been done coercively, this has been done for the sake I have to do. So uh, this bond has to be reasonably drafted in terms of why this bond is being done. This is being voluntarily, and this is amount should be reasonable. Because I am telling you, because every bond has to be read once the dispute arises. I have seen the bonds. Employee has been sent for the overseas training, and the bond was that you have to work for the next 3 years if you are getting this particular training. If you are not able to deliver next 3 years, then you have to pay such and such amount. So that such and such amount was very exorbitantly high. So that you have to put in a very reasonable way so that you can explain in terms of the court also. If the dispute arises and goes to the court, at least you could be in a position to explain that this bond is reasonably drafted and this is as per the. So this should not be one-sided, or it should not be read in such a way that it has been done in a what is called undue influence or coercive measures. So that is the precaution you have to take, and you have to take into the context how for what purpose this bond you are putting it. And very strictly speaking, some of the bonds are just an instrument to coerce or just to put the employees under threat. As simple as that. Some of the bonds, and some of the bonds are by language, by very language, they are not enforceable. By prima facie, once you go through the bond, they will not stand the test of the law. But all the bonds are not that way. Some bonds are legal methods, and that is like a sort of indemnity to the organization. It should look like in that way.
Okay. So the next question is, could you please recommend some potential practice areas for a company secretary, particularly related to ESI and EPF?
Yes, yes. I think I have dealt with this subject, and again I am reiterating. Like ESIC, one practice area is the ensuring monthly compliance of the organization. You can approach any organization and ask for that. We will ensure your monthly compliance. Once you ensure your monthly compliance, a lot of that is itself a model is called monthly retainership basis. You ask for a fixed monthly retainership basis, and you ensure, and you have to take the data of wages, the data of the new entrant employee coming going, and how on what calculation wages is to be done. That is how the PF and ESIC, an online return is filed, online challan is generated, money is paid, what is called, so TRN is generated. So this is one of the area which is key area, because I am telling you, because through this area you can approach the other areas. Why through this area? Because this area gives you the access to the other area. Then HR people will discuss other issues and you will be dealing with other issues. This is a monetary issue. This is a time bound issue. You have to be also alert. Organization has to be alert. Otherwise, financial consequences are adverse, and you have to pay the penalty. So this is important, and there also some guidance you can provide. Which employee to be included, not included, what salary part to be included. So that is one of the area. So this is one. Then inspection is also done some of the time besides filing return, and PFESI lot of assessment proceeding and other proceedings goes on for different so you can go there and represent before the authorities, assistant commissioner, regional commissioner and all, both in PF as well as in ESIC. So this is one. So compliance, ensuring compliance, representing and advisory. And if the organization is like exempted trust having own PF, that will be more area of practice where the finance management is also come into picture, investment management part. So that can also be done, and some of the people are doing only that part, and I know the some of the persons only doing the investment of the trust money for the big organizations. So that is also one of the area of the practice. And the ESIC, there is no trust if there is a big trust where the money is managed. Yes.
Okay. And the next question is, the Factories Act covers numerous areas involving hazardous activities undertaken by companies. In such cases, what advisory role can a practicing company secretary play?
Yes. Practice Act, this new chapter has been added in 1987 amendment after this Bhopal gas tragedy. This hazardous part was not earlier in the Factories Act. So new chapter has come, hazardous part. And also the environmental concern and other concern that is there. So what is there right from the setting up any unit or any factory which is hazardous in nature. How it is hazardous in nature? Let us understand. The hazardous substances are defined. Okay, and that is defined not only here, but that is also defined in the Environment Protection Act. Okay, so that hazardous substance or hazardous material, even if you are storing, let us say you are keeping acid or some explosives for that matter, so that is a hazardous thing. So if you are dealing with means storing, packaging, or processing, or converting whatsoever, then even from the setup level, you have to apply for site approval. You can't do hazardous thing like at any area, or even in industrial area. You have to get approved your site as a site approval. So there is a special committee for that purpose. Then only you get a license. So right from there, and then dealing with different hazardous substances, there are different rules like bio wastes, okay, or for that matter, lead. Some are prohibited, some are regulated, and how it is to be dealt, how it is to be processed. You have to deal with a specific material, like they have to maintain a register. I am telling you, okay, how much your is inventory, how much is the material you have received, how much you have used in your factory, and how much you is still the inventory. So you have to strictly maintain the inventory. Then the safety measures, I'm sorry, safety measures are also very strict in that way. So you can guide on their safety. Safety audit is also conducted for that matter, I'm telling you. So safety standards are there, compliance is there. Compliance is not only in terms of factory, but also in Environment Protection Act. That is also done. And audit is to be conducted, and compliance in terms of maintenance of register and other things are there. So your guidance is there in hazardous substances, practice or otherwise dealing with hazardous substances, very much a critical area. So there also you can practice.
Okay. The next question is, how can a practicing company secretary contribute to policy formulation and compliance with HR related laws applicable to a company?
Yes. Yes, as I told you, like ESOP is the one of the area company secretary deal with ESOP like only company law matter. But besides that, HR policy involves a lot of other issues like even leave issues for that matter, bonus issue for that matter, for gratuity issue. So once you formulate the policy, some of the organizations formulate HR policies for that matter, how leave is to be granted, medical leave, this leave. So these are not policies are not formulated in vacuum. There are certain regulatory mechanism like Factories Act, Shop and Establishment Act, and other act. So that must be means you have to provide, that is the minimum. Like earlier, the factories, no woman is supposed to work in the late night shift. Now that has been done away. You can't discriminate on the gender, like, but what you have to do, you have to provide the extra safety, and safety not only in terms of the workplace, but safety in terms of her commutation, coming to from the residence to this, you have to provide. So all these are the matter of policy. Like there should not be any gender discrimination, or even engaging the contract labor, but how you have to select the vendors, or even the employees welfare for that matter. I am telling you, like company secretary, some of the company secretary I have worked with, they are guiding them. A welfare का trust बनवाइए, even if They are doing welfare measures, that's fine. But let us make a institutional or some entity for that welfare measures. So some welfare trust was created, and then through welfare trust, some lot of activities were like in festivals and other things, or even for the employee, like compensation, you can give compensation otherwise also. Somebody is suffering, another compensation is not only in case of death or other thing, but somebody is suffering, like he is having some acute diseases or other, so that could be done. So HR policies are, or other policies for that matter, uh, company secretary is in a better way, he can guide them, all these things in terms of the law, like how much leave to be granted, how much is to be credited, leave encashment or other things. So that entire policy for like that, if policy is there, that gives certainty and that gives confidence to the employee. So CS can be instrumental on guiding on these terms. Yes.
So the last question we are taking,
Hmm.
if someone wants to start practice in labor laws area, what basic important things are to be kept in mind?
The basic thing you have to keep in mind that you have to be very accessible and approaching to the other, like where the manpower involvement is there, different organizations, you have to be in touch with, you have to be social in terms of, and you have to be enterprising that way, number one. Like company secretary, you have to be enterprising, the enterprising in the sense you have to deal with the companies, you have to access their HR or the other finance people who can give you and who can trust you. So because this is a sensitive area and you are helping them out, so you have to approach them, and at the same time you have to deal with the department also. That gives them the confidence. The first thing I must tell you, like if you are already having touch with the department, then that confidence come with you, and then that confidence will be reflected in dealing with the organization. And knowledge of the labor law is also important, sir, because we are in the knowledge industry and service industry. So the quality of service means timely service, knowledge. They will ask you queries, and you should be ready to provide them. You should be an expert. You are supposed to be an expert. So being a you should know. And locally you have to be aware. Locally, as I told you, labor law is very specific. Like what is applicable in UP is not applicable in Haryana, some of the laws. So if you are dealing, you are practicing in Noida, you have to be familiar with the laws in some of these local laws, labor authorities in the Haryana, or the Gurgaon or Noida, wherever you are practicing. So first, some of the authorities you must be knowing, offices you must be knowing, work, and you can ask some regular work. Regular work means like PF, ESIC, somebody asked. That particular area is what is called on based on monthly cycle. So based on monthly cycle, you get a regular work. Every month you have to do, every month you have to comply. So that sort of thing you can start. And naturally, you have to deal with the management. So you have to be more familiar with their issues. You have to understand the industry also. What type of problems they are facing, what sort of issues that is coming. So that way, you can deal with that particular issue concern.
So those are the questions for the day, sir. Thank you very
Yes.
much for this
Thank
wonderful
you.
session. And
I finished early because of I thought, uh, uh, but questions are mostly coming from Acha, through they are writing it in the
right, sir,
box.
right, sir.
Okay.
So thank you very much, sir. I'd like to
Thank you.
extend our heartfelt gratitude for your insightful and engaging presentation. We are grateful for your time and effort in sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. Thanks to all the
So,
participants for
thank
joining us.
you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Please end the session. The session is completed.